In your comfortable seat, feel the breath. Invite it in through the pores of the skin. And let the fabric of your being be looser, the weave looser today. Relaxing the joints. And you may find, oh, I can relax certain joints. And then when my attention goes to a different part of the body, those joints get tight again. So then you come back to those joints and you invite them to relax again. And now let's harmonize the breath, inviting the breath deep into the belly. Imagine an orb of energy 2 or 3 inches below your navel, set back into your pelvis. And as you inhale, like a balloon, it fills and expands your belly, your low back, and your sides. And then you relax on the exhale. And you breathe deep into the belly, the sides, and the back on the inhale. And before you get too tense with the inhale, you let it go. Body soft, joints relaxed. We breathe into the belly and we let go tension in the belly. Many of us have been taught to hug in our bellies. Right now, I'm giving you permission to relax your belly, to breathe deep into the belly. Fluid breath. Relaxing breath. Visualize a baby or a puppy at sleep, their whole body breathing. This is your birthright, to breathe a full natural breath. Now feel for the whole circle of the lowest ribs opening as you breathe deep into the belly. Feel the back ribs opening. Feel for the diaphragm descending, massaging your stomach and your liver, sending waves through your intestines and your kidneys. This full body breath allows for a massage of the abdominal organs. Healing ripples of energy run through the abdomen. So we invite the diaphragm to descend into the abdomen on the inhale and to ascend up under the lungs on the exhale. The whole circle of the lowest ribs opening. The balloon in the belly and back expanding. Now place one hand on your belly and breathe into that hand. And another hand on your sternum at the heart center. And invite the breath up from your belly into your hand. And relax on your exhales. Invite the breath up from your belly into your hand. And relax. Imagine a hand on your back at the same height as the belly and the hand at your heart, and breathe into those hands at your back. In fact, breathe into the whole circumference of the torso. Imagine another balloon at the heart center expanding on your inhale. Relaxing on your exhale. So now the balloon at your belly expands, the balloon at your heart expands and relaxes. And then release your hands and breathe from the pelvic floor up to the shoulder girdle, filling the whole circumference of the torso. Relaxing on the exhales. It is your birthright to breathe low into your torso. Let yourself relax and breathe deep into the body. Now we bring our attention to the mind. Notice what's there, any thoughts, any awareness of sensation, of emotion, and let those thoughts be there. Can you allow them? Don't cling to them, don't overanalyze them. Allow them to come and allow them to go. In Qigong, this is the work of harmonizing the mind, letting what's in the mind move through the mind without grasping or clinging, like clouds across a clear blue sky. We soften the body, we open the joints, we breathe in deep, relax on the exhales, and become aware of the mind as a witness, watching what moves through the mental field, paying as much attention to the open space around the thoughts as we do to the thoughts themselves. And then we take this harmony into our physical practice. Let's come to standing. Stand with your heels beneath your sit bones and let your hands gently shake. Continue to think of the joints of the hands as open and relaxed, real gentle shaking. And see if you can feel the movement of the energy in your hands. In Qigong, that would be Qi. In yoga, prana. And even Joseph Pilates tuned into energy flow through the body. Let the shaking come up to the wrist. Pay attention to your wrist. Try to release tension in the wrist. And then see if you can shake up to the elbow and relax the elbow. Just focus on the elbow. And then shake up to the shoulders. So Mom, you asked about shoulders here. Notice if there's tension between your humerus bone, the head of your humerus bone, and the shoulder girdle. And try to invite some spaciousness between them as you shake the humerus away from the shoulder girdle. You let gravity pull it gently, remembering that there is space in that joint and we don't have to wear our shoulders around our ears. And then bring your hands up, interlace your fingers, thumbs to the base of the skull, and let your head lean back into your palms and lift the base of the skull away from your shoulder girdle. Root your feet and lift the base of the skull away from the shoulder girdle. Let your back of your neck grow long. And then release the arms. And let the arms swing forward to back. Let the arms just swing, releasing in the shoulder girdle. Release the fingers, let them just swing, the palms swing, the wrists open and easy. Swing. And remember, you don't have to swing super hard. You don't have to be in your fullest range of motion. Let the swinging be about creating space. And then still the swinging. And wrap your fingers around your thumbs and circle the wrists. And circle the hands down and circle the other way and circle them up. Go as high as is comfortable and then circle wide down the other way. So you just kind of switch once in a while, circling the wrists forward and up. Feel into the fascia of the forearm stretching as you circle the other way down and around. And then one more time, switch the circle up. And then circle the other way to a T. And stretch your palms out, spread your fingers wide. And inhale, look out over your right hand. And exhale back across to your left hand. And take an inhale. And exhale back to center. And release your arms. And float them back up. Stretch your fingers wide. Inhale, look out over the right hand. Exhale across to the left. Take an inhale. Exhale, release your arms and roll one shoulder up and release it down the back body and roll the other up and release it down the back. And if it's comfortable, close your eyes. Feel the whole sole of your foot on the floor. Make sure you're not leaning forward into the toes or back into the heels or overweighting one side of the foot or the other. Feel into the whole sole, hugging the floor, rolling the shoulders. Roll both shoulders now, up, back, and down. And notice if you go to the largest range of motion, feel into a smaller range of motion. Fluid breath. And then pause. And let's circle at the elbow. Circle your hands at the elbow, let the elbows go. So we've done wrists, we've done elbows, we've done shoulders. Circle the other way. And then bring your hands to your hips and circle the hips. Circle the hips around. So we have no joy here today, but we'll do our gyrokinetics anyway. Take your circles the other way. Circling the hips. And then figure eight the hips. Fluid breath, hip openers, George. Take your figure eight wide, long. Now can you change directions with your figure eight? A little neurological work. Just let yourself flow with it. And then pause the hip figure eights and let your arms figure eight. One palm up, one palm down, figuring eight in front of the body. Just a gentle swinging. Now some of you will be able to turn it into a twist, letting yourself swing gently to the side. Maybe you come up on the one foot. Let your body move in a way where the joints can stay fluid as you move, allowing for the opening that's needed for the fluid movement. Let yourself just relax into the fluidity, staying with the breath deep into the belly. Good. And then come to center and let your arms come out to the sides and circle small. Circle, 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 circle. Circle, 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 circle the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Forward, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Backward, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And release your arms and let them float up towards the sky. Step out to one toe. If you'd like to pick up hand weights here, you can pick up your hand weights. Step out to one toe and let's lift the toe and let the arms come down and inhale, lift, and exhale, release. You could have your hand weights here. Inhale and exhale, lifting and lowering. One more this side, lift and lower. Take the other foot out and inhale up, exhale, release, and inhale and exhale and inhale. So still we're staying with this idea of fluid and open. If you feel like my audio or my video are glitching, then let me know, because we can turn off some screens if we need to. But if not, it's great to be able to see you. Lift and lower, inhale and exhale. As the wrist rises, the shoulder relaxes, whether you come all the way up or part way up. As the wrist rises, the shoulder, the head of the humerus bone relaxes into gravity and come back to center. And pause. Let your head rest back, your sacrum rest back, your tailbone descend earthward, and let your arms swing in opposition to each other. And then lift to the opposite toe. Swing, toe, swing. And then perhaps you lift the knee in a march. Heart stays lifted. Hyoid bone in the neck crease rests back. And we march. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let your arms go as much as you can into the swing. Don't make the swing have to be your full range of motion. Let the movement happen. Joints a little more free today. Just give that a try. Think of your spine being lifted by the hot air balloon and tractioned down by a bungee line at your tailbone so that it can still move and have space between it, but it's long and elastic with its springiness. And we step, step. The knees can come as high as you'd like to get a little more blood flow. And then we slow it down and we pause. And we step to one side of our space. And if you have your hand weights, then you can pick those up if you haven't already. And open your arms, open your legs, and close. And inhale, and exhale, and inhale, and exhale. Opening and closing across the space. Elbows wide, one from the other. Moving now. But even as we begin to move, can we keep the idea of keeping those joints loose and open? Even as we dynamically move, can we invite a flow of energy through the body, not locking joints or muscles closed or stiffening? Let ourselves flow. And then come back into center and pause. And step your left foot out and lift your arms. Right arm forward, left arm out. And step in. Step the right foot out and lift and step in. Step and in. Step and in. So the leg you're stepping towards, the arm goes out to the side. The other arm comes forward. We step and in and step in. Now feel how you could let this movement flow. But if you take it too far, if the step is too big, if you reach the torso too far, you'll start to feel how the body has to grip. So find that place where you can kind of swing easily. For some people, it may be smaller like this. For some people, you may want to step big and lunge the knee a little more. But make sure you're not gripping in the body. Whatever step you take, feel into the fluidity, how you don't have to lean the heart too far forward and hurt the low back. We become aware of our body in motion. And then come back to center. Pause and invite your breath deep into the belly and low back. Rest your head and shoulders back and lift to one toe. Let your arms come out to the side like they're holding a giant beach ball. And lift the knee and tap the toe. Lift and tap and lift and tap and lift and tap and lift and tap. Lift to the other toe. Lift the heart, the base of the skull. Lift and tap and lift and tap and lift and tap and lift and tap. Now take the first foot behind you, toe pointed, tailbone down towards the back heel, base of the skull lifted, and lift and touch and lift and touch, lift and touch and lift and touch. And either hinge forward if you don't come into back bends and lift towards balance or almost lift, or lift the heart, lift the beach ball, lift the back foot and pause. Feel the whole sole of the standing foot hugging earth. Let the hot air balloon lengthen the spine. And release. Take the other foot back. Hold your beach ball forward. Lift the back heel and touch the toe. Lift and touch and lift and touch. Lift and touch and lift and touch. Lift and hold. Let your shoulder girdle broaden. Find your shoulder blades on the back. Lift with the heart. Lift with the base of the skull. And release. Pause in your mountain pose. Let the base of the skull rest back. Let your eyes rest into their sockets. And then lift up your long TheraBand. Long TheraBand. Take it across the front of your thighs. palms back, shoulder girdle wide. Find your shoulder blades wide on the back ribs. Take an inhale and root your feet and let the hot air balloon lift you skyward. Exhale. Find your shoulder blades on the back. Take a deep inhale up the spine and look out over your right shoulder. Draw the hands back so that they're pulling on the TheraBand, but don't let the wrists pull the shoulders forward. Pull the head of the arm bone back as you pull the wrist back. Take a few breaths as you look out over the right shoulder. And exhale to center, release the arms, roll the shoulders. And then broad across the shoulder girdle, draw the TheraBand back against your thighs. Take an inhale, root your feet. Hot air balloon lifts you skyward. Exhale, look out over your left shoulder. And inhale, fill the torso. Exhale, broaden across the collarbones. Inhale, breathe in behind the shoulder blades. Exhale, breathe into the back body. And exhale, release. Bring your TheraBand up around your neck. Lift the TheraBand up under the base of the skull. Lift the base of the skull and look down a little towards earth. Lengthen the back of the neck. Then look up at the horizon and come to one toe and lower and the other toe and lower. Remember your tailbone's a third leg as you lift one knee and lower. Keep the base of the skull lifting. Rest your hyoid bone in your neck crease back. We're trying to lengthen your suboccipital muscles under your skull so that we don't jut the chin forward and carry the head forward. Really traction the base of the skull. Keep the back of the neck long. Rest into the back body and see if you can go a little faster. Can you stay long in the spine? Point the toe towards the ground as the foot comes off. And release. Let go of the TheraBand and pause in your mountain pose. And take your right foot out again. And inhale, lift your arms up into your goalpost position. And lift the foot. Lift, lift, lift the foot. Lengthen the arms out, lifted foot. And release back down. Open back up, arms in goalpost. Stretch from elbow to elbow. Lift the foot off. Lengthen the arms up. Lift your low rib ring away from your pelvis. And exhale, release. And let's come down onto the floor. Onto the floor today. Let's go ahead and put on our circle TheraBands. Please have your block or your ball or a folded blanket for under your sacrum. And pause in your constructive rest. Walk your feet together, your inner thighs together. Open your arms, palms up, a little distance from your hips, and rest the head of your arm bones back. So part of the work in Pilates for your shoulders is to make sure you're not curling the shoulders forward up towards the sky when we do the core work. So really let the head of your arm bones become heavy as you open your knees wide, and then bring them together and open them wide and together, wide and together. One more, wide and together. Now step your heels out as wide as your sit bones. Press the whole sole of the foot into the floor, lift your pelvis, and draw your block, ball, or oov under your pelvis. Palms rest upward. Remember, your block is most stable. Your ball is least stable. The oov's in the middle. Shoulder girdle broad. Float one leg up towards tabletop. Float it back down, land it light as a feather. Float the other leg up. Float it down, light as a feather. Now, float the first leg up, and as you land it, only land 50% of the weight. Float the other leg up, only land 50% of the weight. And then float the foot up and land 50% of the weight. Float and land. Now float up, float the other leg up. Open your knees as wide as your shoulders and toe dip the first foot 2/3 towards the floor and exhale it up. Inhale down and exhale up. Check in that your shoulders are resting back heavy. So we come back into the breathing practice whenever we need to the harmonizing practice at the beginning of class. And we rest the body open where it doesn't need to be working. The hands, the wrists, the elbows. Shoulders are broad. They may even be grounding slightly. We reach from front ribs towards hip pointers to stay strong in the front abdominal core. And then we come up and hug the legs together and take the left leg out to the side and pause. And exhale to center. And take the right leg out to the side and pause. And exhale to center. Left out and pause and into center. Right out and pause and into center. Now bend your elbows, let your palms face across the torso. Take the left leg out and pause. Feel how the left arm and shoulder can work to stabilize you. Connect your awareness from the left shoulder to the right hip and come in. Take the right leg out. Feel how the right arm and shoulder work. Connect the right shoulder across to the balancing left hip and come to center. And open left and exhale closed and inhale open right and exhale closed and continue with your breath for a few more cycles, feeling into how your back body, your shoulders, and your pelvis help you to balance the movement of the leg. And come back in. Lift your legs up towards the sky and open them wide and just pulse into the TheraBand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hold. Just feel into the legs where the TheraBand touches you. Point your feet and flex your feet and point and flex and feel the tissue under the TheraBand, becoming aware of this point on your legs. Point and flex and circle your ankles. Feel how the tissue against the TheraBand may move a little. Circle the other way. And bring the legs together and bring the TheraBand up to your ankles. And bring the right foot in front of the left. And then circle and bring the left foot in front of the right. It's okay if your knees are a little bent because you have tight hips. It would look like this. We circle 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Feel the gentle pressure out into the TheraBand. Feel your shoulders resting back so you're not pressing so hard into your elbows that the shoulders pop up. Let your neck crease rest back and your jaw relax. Come back into awareness of your joints. Where can you let space in? You can stay with these circles, or you can circle down. 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4, and down. 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4, last one. 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4, and bend your knees. Bring the TheraBands off your foot and fling it away and come back to tabletop. And hug your right knee in and lengthen your left leg out at your 45-degree angle. Aware from ribs to hip pointers, shoulders resting back. We switch, 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 switch. Stay with your breath. Broad across your shoulder girdle, grounded in your shoulders. Relaxed in your face. You may even be able to smile. Relax your fingers. Relax your toes. And come back in. Bring your heels together, turn your toes out into a little V, and press both legs out like a frog. Point your toes, flex, and draw your knees towards your shoulders, and point and reach, and flex, and draw, and reach, and draw, and reach, and draw. Press, and pull, and press, and pull. Open the right leg overhead, the left leg long, point your toes, pulse, pulse, and switch. Pulse, 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 pulse. Now flex. Pulse, 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 and floint, pulse, 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 and go right into riding your bicycle. Fluid breath. So we work on opening the hips even as we strengthen the abdominal core. Let your circles be as long and slow as you can, because then the muscles get to go through their slow eccentric contraction. If you're still in a floint, relax your toes. See if you can lengthen the legs without pointing the toes. Perhaps your foot comes down and gently draws across the floor. Shoulders are broad. They're not gripped to the earth, but they're still grounding. And then circle backwards. Bicycle backwards. Slow. Reach. Let your body feel the stretch of the big, slow movement. See if while you're in the big, slow movement, you can still breathe into your belly and your back. And then bring your legs together and float one foot to the floor and then the other. You can stay here in a supported bridge, good for those of you that don't want to go into a deeper back bend. Some of you can lengthen one leg out over the ball and stay there. Some will be able to lengthen both legs out. Pause with your breath, arms can stretch overhead. See if you can come back into relaxing the joints of the body, inviting space into the body. Relax the feet and the hands, the elbows and the knees. If you have one leg stretched out, you can switch sides. Fluid breath. And I like to kind of wave my hips back and forth across the ball. It would work on an oov too, won't work as well on the block. But this helps me stretch inside the pelvis, the iliacus muscle, and stretch the psoas connection from inner thigh to spine. I like the rocking. Rocking, I've learned in yoga therapy, is a way that we calm the body. If we want the body to stretch open, then calming it is a good first step. Come back to center. Step one foot in, bring your arms in. Step the other foot in. Lift up off your ball, block or oov. Lower your pelvis to the ground. Make sure you're not on a pillow so that you can press your arm bones into the ground and lift the pelvis towards a bridge. And lower and lift, lower and lift, lower and lift, and lower and lift and hold. Hug your sit bones together and release, and hug and release, hug and release, and hug and release. Either lower your pelvis slowly to the ground or exhale and roll, releasing one vertebrae at a time to the floor. Coming into your natural curve, tailbone towards the earth and then tailbone towards sky. Earth and sky, earth and sky. Come into your somatic walking, pressing one foot into the floor, reaching that knee forward over the toes and lifting that same side hip and then switching. It's not a twist. You're not taking your knees from side to side. They're reaching straight out over your toes. It's a release of the lumbar spine. Fluid breath. Your arms can relax beside you and let go. Your neck and jaw and eyes can release. Your face could even smile. Let that smile permeate the body. And then come to stillness. Roll over on your side and come up to hands and knees. On hands and knees, inhale a gentle cow and exhale a cat. Take a deep inhale into the lower back in cat. And then exhale to neutral. Take your right fingertips forward and your left toes back. And inhale, float them up off the floor. And exhale, touch. And inhale, lift. And touch. And lift. And touch. and lift. You can stay with these or elbow towards knee and reach, elbow towards knee and reach, elbow towards knee and reach. One more. You can stay with these, or you can open your arm into a goalpost and your leg into a dog at the fire hydrant, and then reach and bend and reach, bend and reach, bend and reach, and bend and reach, and lower down. Take your left fingers forward, your right leg back. Really find your core. Balance the rectangle of your torso. Make sure you're not hyperextending the standing elbow, and lift and lower. Remember, we're not lifting into a big back bend. We're lifting towards parallel with the floor, and lower. Inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale. You can stay with these or elbow towards knee and stretch in and out with the breath. Exhaling and inhaling. Exhaling and inhaling. You can stay with those or draw your arm into goalpost and knee into dog at the fire hydrant and reach, draw and reach, draw and reach, draw and reach, and one more, and reach and release, and inhale your cow, and exhale, relax into cow. Let your neck be long. Where can you release tension or gripping in the body? And then exhale into your cat and take a few breaths. Again, noticing where it is you could release an overworking so that you can breathe the body more open. And then either stand your hands or come to forearms on the floor on blocks and step back for your plank. Remember, you can come to your knees if you'd like. You can even do the lift one leg from the knee. We lift one foot just a couple inches off the floor and we hold. Fluid breath, long spine, long neck. Hands working evenly. We lower this side and lift the other. Stay with your fluid breath. And lower down. Let's lower all the way to the floor, placing your forehead on your hands. Now, some of you may prefer to be on a bolster. If you have a really kyphotic upper spine, better to be on a bolster with your head on the block. And then some of you will just stay here for the breathing practice. This supports a three-dimensional breath. Some will lift one leg up behind you, stretch it long, and release. Lift the other leg up, stretch it long, and release. Press into your arms and lift the head. Draw the arms towards your chest into a kind of sphinx pose. Fluid breath, don't do this if you don't back bend. Fluid breath. Those of you who do back bend, lift the heels off the floor as well. Strengthening the back body, breathing space into the front body. And exhale, release towards the floor. Place your hands under your shoulders. And as you inhale up, lifting the feet, lift the palms just a few inches off the ground, broad across your shoulder girdle, lengthen from head to tail. Fluid breath. You can exhale back down and stay with your forehead on your hands, or bring your hands to your hips. Palms down, thumbs out, and inhale up, lifting for your Salambhasana. Fluid breath, stretching, open the front body as we strengthen the back. And then exhale, hands under your shoulders, roll back to your tabletop. Walk your hands forward, knees wide, sit bones towards your heels. Come back into your fluid breath, filling the torso and relaxing on the exhales. Hands broad, ground each finger pad, and roll your toes under. Bent knees, lift up to downward dog. Maybe the legs straighten. Fluid breath into the whole circumference of the torso. Relaxing on the exhales. Relaxing your face and your jaw. Letting the head dangle away from the shoulders. Step the feet in. Coming into standing child's pose. Breathe into your femur bones. Let the belly massage into the legs. And you can either unhinge from here, best if you have spinal issues or osteoporosis, or you can roll up one vertebrae at a time. And pause in standing. Let your head rest back. And let's do the standing side lying leg series. Okay, so bring your block in, and if you use a wall, then get your wall. I'll use this wall over here. Okay. And place the block so that the outside foot will step onto it, and you have room to have your arm on your wall, but that you can be really up and down with your standing leg on the block. Okay, people have been liking this work, so we'll do a little more of it. Stepping up onto the block. I actually taught a yoga class for a Portland studio this morning, and people really were curious about this idea of how does the femur bone move separate from the pelvis and the spine, and you all have been doing this for so long. You're pretty far along. So let your leg dangle and swing, and try not to really force the swing far, but instead think of keeping the pelvis as still as you can and letting the femur bone move in the hip socket. And you'll notice it's going to move forward more easily than back without taking the pelvis for a ride. Okay? And I just want you to become aware of differentiating. Okay, that's how far my femur bone will go without taking my pelvis with it. And then inhale, bring the knee up, and exhale, dangle the leg down. Lift the knee up, dangle the leg down, lift and lower, lift and lower. Now lift the knee up, straighten the leg out, let the foot swing down, heel to sit bone, and come into your bicycles. So this standing leg glute is really working. So we did some stretching of the hip now. We're building awareness of the hip, George. Fluid breath. Your hands can be on your hips. If you have the balance for that, you could have one hand on the wall, one hand on your hips. And now swing the foot forward, draw the knee up, heel to sit bone, and bicycle backwards. Can you still maintain an awareness of not overusing the pelvis? So I could be doing this, right? And my spine and pelvis would be all over the place. But instead, I'm really aiming for more movement from the leg, less from the lower back. Good, one more. And then step down, and let's try the other side. Okay, I'll come over here. Fluid breath. Okay, so you're going to step up. If you're using a wall, you'll hold on to your wall. Step up one foot onto the block and let the other leg swing. Try to let it swing free from the pelvis. So think of that. You're letting this heavy bone hang out of the pelvis, and you're just really trying to give it some freedom. Create some space, just like we did with the shoulders. Space, femur bone to hip. And then with that in mind, we kick the knee forward, straighten the leg, and lower. Let's first lift and lower. Just lift the knee, let the femur hang. Lift, hang, lift, hang, lift, hang, lift, hang. Now lift, straighten, lower, and come into your bicycles. How much can you do from the femur bone without as much movement in the low back? And you may find that one side's really different from the other. It's interesting, I usually think of my left hip as tighter, but today my right hip is wanting to move my pelvis more. And then let's go backwards. Heel to sit bone, leg moves back, up and around. So these circles could be pretty small or they could be larger. Just try to keep your pelvis pretty well balanced as you do the movements and feel the work it takes in your hips. Last one. And step down. And come into your figure eights. Let your figure eight stretch those hips out again. You might be like, wow, I have a lot more flexibility than I did at the beginning of class. I do. I've been doing a lot of walking here. Okay, now move the block a little closer to the wall. Step back up with the foot closest to the wall and lift the other foot out to the side and lower. Now, can you keep your pelvis? It's going to tip a little sideways. That's okay. But keep this idea of the hot air balloon lengthening you skyward as you lift the leg. So your side waists are long, your low rib rings reaching away from your pelvis. And then lift it partway up and draw soccer ball sized circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Draw the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let the foot come down towards the block, flex it, and lift. Lower, lift, lower, lift, lower. Point the toe out and circle. 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then switch sides. Okay. So then we come up and we first stand long with the spine. So I know you can't see my head, but lift your low rib ring away from your pelvis. Lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. Let your neck be long, your head be long. Stand nice and tall, even as you do the work. Good. And then bring the foot back down, partly lifted, and circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Flex the foot, let it hang by the block, and lift, and lower, lift, and lower. Long spine, upright spine. And one more. And then circle. 2, 3, 4, 5. Other way. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And step down. And come back to your mat and let yourself gently march. And just notice, is there more kind of fluid feeling in your hips and shoulders than perhaps there was at the beginning of class? And think of that TheraBand we had at the base of the skull lifting you. Let yourself rest back into it. Let it lift your skull as you gently just swing, 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 swing. Ah. And then relax and gently shake your hands and shake your arms all the way up to the shoulder girdle. Let your knees bounce. Let your whole body just shake it out. Shake, shake, shake. Even the head can swing a little bit. And then come back to stillness and draw a circle with your nose. Close your eyes. Let the circle get a little bigger and a little bigger. Come to the top and take it the other way. Circling a little bigger and a little bigger. Fluid breath. And then pause, shoulders broad, head resting back, tailbone grounding. Breathe deep. Breathe deep into the low belly. Breathe deep into the low back. And click your heels together. And those of you who don't click together, keep your feet parallel. My mother's trying to call. She probably got off class somehow. Let's bend the knees. Now, Let your arms come up and just imagine again you're holding this big beach ball in front of you. Let your elbows relax over it, your wrists, your palms, your fingers. And knees bent, lift the heels and zip up the legs and lower the heels. Concentrate on releasing the shoulders, lifting the base of the skull as you bend. Lift, zip, release. Bend, lift, zip, release. Now lift. Relax your shoulders away from the base of your skull. Let the base of the skull lift. Relax your elbows, your wrists, your palms. Bend, lower, zip, lift, bend, lower and zip, lift and hover. Relax the shoulders. Notice how we add tension. Relax the elbows, the palms, the fingers. Bend, lower and zip. And let's inhale in. Draw this chi, this prana from the sky into the body. Let's inhale in. Draw this prana, this chi from the earth up the body to your fingertips. And one more time. Let's inhale in for good wellness, health, and harmony in all our bodies, minds, and hearts. Thank you. Okie dokie. Thanks for coming.